Then we start the dinner with Mayim Achreinim. Mayim Achreinim, the washing of the hands before benching. There are two kinds of Mayim. Mayim Rishayim, before a Maitzi, Mayim Achreinim, before benching. These dinim, these halachas, you recall we had a few weeks ago in the Gemara, very much detailed. It's a very, very big if you recall. Number two, that we said the reason for Mayim Achreinim, for the Gemara, is because there is a certain type of salt that comes from Sedaim. And this salt that gets on a person's fingers, he touches his eyes, he kachashon blind his eyes. This is why you wash Mayim Achreinim in a meal, it removes the salt. You have to be very careful with that. The Gemara says that what? That Mayim Achreinim is even more of a chiyuv than Mayim Rishayim. Mayim Rishayim is a takona sakona, because Mayim Achreinim is only because of sakona, not because of the din, the danger, but it's still more strict than Mayim Rishayim. The din says that there are many people who are makel in this. They take it very lightly. People who eat, and they bench. They neglect to wash Mayim Achreinim. But the person who has Yerushalmi should be very careful to see that he washes Mayim Achreinim regardless of how difficult it is to get it, or not to forget about this. What is the reason that people are makel? Because there are days, like Teshuva says, that nowadays there is no more of this type of salt. But most places can maintain that it is still the same chiyuv as before. The person should not take a risk. Each person must wash Mayim Achreinim. You recall too, the Gemara tells a story about this person who, because of Mayim Achreinim, caused the death of his wife. So, there's a weapon. Remember the story in the Gemara where a man came to this inn, this Sanya, where this man was a thief, and he took the money. His name was Kiga. The man was particular about the name, so he said, "I don't trust this character." The others trusted him. They learned the hard way. You have to investigate a person's name. And he stole their money. The man told him how to get it back by going to his wife and telling her that he had sent them for the money. She said, "What's the proof?" So they said, "Because he told us that he ate a certain kind of food this morning for breakfast." Which means, of course, that they saw the marks, his face, he was a not too clean an eater. He didn't wash Mayim Achreinim. He had washed Achreinim and got no stains off. She gave it to him innocently, unknowingly. He came back home. He found out how clever his wife was. He disposed of her. But clearly that was what he wanted, that Mayim Achreinim killed a person. The person should be very careful to wash Mayim Achreinim. The din of washing Mayim Achreinim is until the middle joint of the fingers. In other words, you have three joints of fingers. These pedicle, the Adayim, the boys, are 14 parts of them. One of 10 of that. Maybe I'll go to the Rosh that. It's later because this is Halacha and Kabbalah. But these three joints of these four fingers, and then one by the thumb, the middle one, you've got to cover two joints, not just one, not just the tip of the fingers. There are some people who wash, they dip their little finger in the water, just a drop, they find two little fingers, they go like this, and they rinse with that one shot. Then says that you have to wash till the middle joint, and to lower the fingers, let the water get down, and remember that there is the smell, he's very much medactic on this thing. He's very, very strong about something. In this case, it is very much medactic for reasons that he knows how important this halacha is. You wash halacha, you take a little whiskey glass, you give it to 10 people. And it should be enough water to cover till there. Now, it doesn't mean you got to pour water like you do by the shirt. You take a little water and rub it around till you cover this section. This is considered a chayim, and of course then we have these shadows with what kind of a keli is so. We'll clean that later on. Let's hope that we are zecher to be zakeh our hands and our hearts. The Arizal already said this person is washing his hands, making his heart pure, be really truly pure, believe with nefesh to Aharon Hashem. He's not going to say that he has to say, wait a minute. Tonight, what should I do? So when the Menachem must be washed, it's supposed to wash directly before benching. There should be no pause whatsoever, or as little as possible between Menachem and benching. So therefore you first say eventually Shina Malis before Menachem. Any actions necessary, like pouring in a cup of wine for benching, that's to be poured in before Menachem. The last thing to do is Menachem itself. Therefore, Shali comes up if you have a minion benching, like Shalashunas. So the one that is going to bench, when should he wash his hands? If you should have as little hefsek as possible, it should be immediate. You want to just take it from the Tila Bracha. Immediately after washing, you should really make some muslin. So when should the one who benches wash? In the first place, there is a rule. This is important to know. It's called En Kibud L'Mayim Achanim. There's no covet in Mayim Achanim. For example, if you have washing before a Leitzi, and there are people standing in line, you have 3 people standing in line to wash, the din is that you must give covet to a Talmud Chacham, to a Kohen in front of you. So Halacha must give me covet there. When it comes to Mayim Achanim and washing after eating, there's no din of covet at all. There is no covet to give a Mayim to a Talmud Chacham, an older person. Because this means to say, here, you're tummy, and it implies that. Whereas by Rabbi Nachman, he goes a slach truma, he goes a truma, special dinner. Here there is no kibbutz whatsoever. So we cannot say that it's a covenant for the person who has to bench. Despite this, there is still a machlokes that I've if you have 10 people, or let's say 50 people, it's one person benching, so there are 2 ways, 2 days here. Either the person who benches should be the first one to wash. And why? Not because of covet. Because he should prepare himself for the benching. He has to look through and see what he has to say. I said, Rabbi said he's going to bench. It's difficult to study that carefully. While the others wash, he meanwhile studies his part. The other day is that it would be too big a hefsek for the person who has to bench to wash first. So at least there should be no bigger hefsek than 5 people. He must be among the last 5 people who wash. Both of these days are accepted, inshallah. Either way, it just shows the stress. How important it is to see that there be no hefsek in time between washing hands and between benching. Now, it's very wrong for people to delay, to slow the process of passing the Menachem down. It's better to have a few cups of Menachem when you have a group, quickly, as speedily as possible, because the faster you get to the bracha, the bigger the mitzvah is. The Menachem are not to be washed. The water itself is tamei. We said it's more than that. It's tamei. It's also sakana because of the salt that comes from Shneim. So when the person washes the Menachem, he should be careful that he should not spill it on the floor, because that water is dangerous. People will step on it. So there is a evil spirit that rests upon it. Of course, we said that there's a shad that tastes very good time. We don't have any more. Anyway, it still pays to be careful because there are posek. We should have said it still exists today. A person should wash Menachem into a dish rather than on the floor people step. Or they could wash underneath the table, where people don't walk. The forwards don't walk under the table. So then, if, let's say, some of the water spills out, it only becomes void, becomes bottle. Some people, of course, wash under the table and create a flood, a river. The washing under the table means a little bit. As we say, you have to cover the first joints of the fingers to the middle joint, and not to have to cover the waterfront. So the water should be careful not to spill out. You take the water from the table to spill it out in the sink. The person has to be very cautious not to let this tip over, spill out on the floor or on anybody's clothes. And again, the point of the halacha is that when taking the water off and so on. There should still not be a hefsek, a delay between that and the benching. This can be taken very quickly, put aside, and the benching should start immediately. That way you receive the bracha immediately too. We should be zochet to receive it. Bracha is the shefa in the shemayim. Above all the bracha we should see with our eyes, the coming of Mashiach, the Yemei Zvika Shemayim, Amen. Minimum Mayim Achreinen and Birkas Hamazon. Benching. When it comes to benching, a person should always see to it that there should be bread on the table when he benches. The time Birkas Hamazon should be bread on the table, preferably the bread that is left over from the meal. Not to finish the bread and then put new bread on the table, that's done with the Yemen. To put enough bread on the table before, so you will not finish it, and have bread on the table at the time of Birkas Hamazon. The reason is to show that there is a sign of a thanks to Hashem for Shefa. Shefa means a flow, not just a bracha of blessing. A person earns a certain amount of livelihood, a limited amount of bracha. Shefa means a flow that's, or better said, an overflow. Overflow of Shefa, we find that Elisha Navi, when someone brought a gift of some food to the Nevi'im, so his servant said, this will never be enough, it will never suffice for the number of Nevi'im there. He answered, you hand it out to them, you'll see. The miracle happened, he handed it out, and there was enough for them to eat, and enough left over. Still remained after they all finished eating. Now this is a sign of Shefa, kindness of Hashem. The person is supposed to have this bread on his table at the time of benching, but you're benching already, you're finishing, you still have bread left over. Also, the person is saying a bracha, tefillah for panasa at the time of Birkas Hamazon, there must be a start, something for the bracha to rest upon, to come down upon. The person wants a miracle of any kind, he's got to have a little drop from there to start. For example, the holiday of Hanukkah. It could have been a miracle of Hanukkah that the candles menorah burned by itself. It's a miracle. Yeshmei ayin, something from nothing, oil or nothing at all. The miracle was that they found a little tiny drop of oil. This was enough to burn for 8 times as much as this pach contained. The reason was that a miracle can occur on something which is already there, not on zero, on nothing. There must be something there, a bracha, a miracle. So when you leave all the bread on the table, there's room for a bracha to come out. This little bit of bread you left over will multiply into a lot of wealth. At the same time, too, the minhag is to remove all knives from the table before you start benching. First, you're not supposed to have knives on the table. Either remove them or to cover them with a napkin or a cloth. The reason is that the table is compared to the Mizbeach, the altar of the Beis Hamikdash. On the Mizbeach it says you shall not raise metal, means a sign of a sword, over the Mizbeach, because a sword is something that cuts short the life of a person. And the Mizbeach is something that gives long life to a person. Carbon prolongs length is a person's life. These two are opposites, and therefore never should you have a metal sword raised over the Mizbeach. It's not right that you should raise something which shortens life over something which lengthens life. And also, of course, the Mizbeach and the table gives a person long life in that it gives the sins of the person. The purpose of the Mizbeach. The person was doomed, chas v'sholom, he was fated to leave, and he raised a carbon, he does tshuva, this decree is removed, nullified, he lives longer. Therefore, the table is like it was there, which makes a person live long, and that is why it is not right, it's not proper to place a knife on the table at the time of benching. It is also customary that on Shabbos, on Yom Tov, this means actually not the other days, Shabbos and Yom Tov, they do not cover the knives. They do not remove the knives from the table. They leave it there because of a second reason. The second reason is that in the weekdays they cover the knife because the Arizal says very Kaddish that the koyach of Esav, of Edom, of the Samach Men, prevails during the 6 days of the week. The Chayil in the days of Esav Edom. That's why Chayil, Edom, is the symbol of sword and blood, dam. Chayil is dam, what is dam, blood, days of blood. Shabbos is days of peace. Shabbos is resting. Shabbos means rest. rest, life. So, therefore, on Shabbos, since there's no power of Esau at that time, Shabbos, all the klippos and all the evils are removed. They're completely subdued. There's no koach at all to practice a tumah. Since there's no satan and no evil then, therefore there's no problem, no worry about the symbol of Esau which is innate. That's why, according to the second time, the Shabbos and Yom Tov, and it's permissible to leave a knife on the table, and the second time is so strong that although a person can ask for it the first time, since it's Mizbeach, because there was Shabbos or the middle of the week. The fact that this is a sign to show, remember, you show that there's no tumah on Shabbos, but the knife be there because there's no tumah, and there's also no kitzur. So the knife will not be a symbol of kitzur. That's why on Shabbos and Yom Tov there is a minig, and the minig, of course, is a Bel Kodesh. Jews, minig is very important. Torah, Halacha, minig to leave the knives on Shabbos and Yom Tov, not in particular about removing them. Of course, aside from this, that these are warned strictly that removing not just knife, but removing this refers to removing all empty dishes, empty glasses, empty plates, because that's a sign of barrenness, of a lack of shefa, lack of bracha. The time that if a Muslim person should be full of simcha and shefa, remove all empty dishes and plates on the table, cups, glasses, saucers, and so forth, that the things that should be, they are completely a sign of bracha. We should be zecher, the emes, to fulfill these mitzvahs, to receive this shefa bracha by Hashem, make the shefa bracha, see with our eyes, see us with children, kiruv, see the Israel. Continuing the dinner of Bekas HaMazon. A person ate only the size of half of an egg of bread and nothing else, which means that he did not fill the stuff whatsoever. It was a tiny drop, less than eating an apple, for instance. What is there involved in the size of an olive of bread? You require still the entire Bekas HaMazon, whole benching for that. Which means that for the same money you can eat a lot if you have it. The din of benching is you're not allowed to bench standing up, you're not allowed to bench while walking, only while sitting. Benching must be said only while sitting. Even if at the time that he ate, he was walking up and back, he was pacing in his house, pacing and eating, or he was standing, still, he must bench only sitting. The reason for that is that because when the person sits, and he has Yishuv Hadas, he sits, his mind is more settled. He sits down on his mouth. So he's without having others concentrate about, concentration is always better when a person is sitting. There are some people, of course, who could think perhaps better while they pace up and back, but we're speaking about the average. Those are usually the lepers and so forth who do that. The average person would think better while sitting, or at least get his mind off other things and have more kavanah than davening. Of course, there's no reason to have still, despite the Shemon Esrei, must be standing. It's a matter of berecheres. This din of sitting whilst benching, recall we once mentioned, Tesis brings one of the Gedolim and the Shenim, and then there's a hint to it in the posek. Okay, the chavruta v'savata v'erachta. The chavruta you should eat, the savata you should be filled, and the v'erachta you should bench. So bench only when you're filled, you bench when you're not filled too. The chavruta you should eat, the savata is Vav, Shin, Beis, Ayin, Taf. Let's break the two words of Vishev, Ace. You sit at the time, Beirachta, when you bench. So what the Vishev, Ace, and Beirachta, sit at the time you bench. Also, sitting means Dachka sitting and not reclining. You're not supposed to recline because that's a complete lack of Berecheres before Hashem. One of the most important halachas that a person should accustom himself to is to come before Hashem prepared with respect. You go before a king, you would naturally not come with sports shirt open, carelessly groomed. You'd come well dressed. You get to bench before Hashem. The din dictates. It's not a compromise. You have to put on a jacket. You have to put on a hat. Cover your head. That way to show respect to Hashem. So at least you have to get a benching hat. To properly have baseball caps. See, they have something special. They have helmets. There should be a benching hat at least to show this is specified specifically for benefits of benching. That way, he shows that he's arousing his kavanah, he's benching with fear and respect for Hashem, and at the time of benching, a person should not do anything but bench. There are two things that Arizal says about benching. One is he should bench with simcha, so the feeling of real simcha, and this will give the benching a much higher degree of kedusha. Secondly, he should bench with, if possible, with his eyes closed, if possible. Of course, if he davens better with looking at the siddur, naturally, he should read the siddur. This means only, rather than bench without a siddur, with his eyes open, he should close his eyes. Better, of course, to say inside the siddur with your eyes open. I think is to be mechavan in all things, Hashem Shemayim, which going to Hashem. That's what will be zecher to see b'yas m'shut Tikuney. Hashem Amen. Benching. We said a person should concentrate when he benches, not to look outside benching. If possible, to bench with his eyes closed. Unless he's looking in the siddur. If he doesn't have a siddur, he should have his eyes closed. It's customary that when you have a mezuman and one is benching, or someone there, you have to have the Arachma, they answer all day after each one. So as a Medrash, if a person hears somebody davening for anything, or saying a bracha to Jew, even without saying Hashem's name, he must answer Omei for that. Omei means that the bracha should come true. Should become fulfilled. The person ate, and he allowed time to elapse, enough for the food to become digested, meaning that he's hungry again for a new meal, and there's no way he could bench anymore for the old one. He lost this opportunity to bench. How much is the amount of time that it takes for food to become digested? 1 hour and 12 minutes. The time it takes to walk 4 miles. So that when a person sits, eats, and then walks away, or sits there for reading or something, even learning, he doesn't taste anything at all. After 72 minutes, the food is digested, he lost his chance to bench. This is something that a person sometimes forgets about. Sits a long time at the table, so he becomes absorbed or involved in talking and learning himself. It's a serious item that must be avoided. You have to have a presence of mind to think of time when you're sitting at a table. If, though, you're sitting with a group of people, a big feast, a banquet or something like that, but then it's customary they have certain things that they little articles of food, piece of cake or other things, spicy items that they eat in between or drink. As long as there is any drinking at all or eating, the entire 72 minutes time, so if we start a new count of 72 minutes. Cannot. Still, it's better not to wait long between the end of the meal and benching. Not to have any hefsing because then you fall into a supper. Best to be careful to have something to drink on the table, or something to eat, either one. Not to allow 72 minutes to pass by. The person walked out of his place before he benched. If where he is, he left this place, he came to a second place, and realized he had not benched. If where he is there is a little piece of bread, he should eat the bread there. He doesn't have to make a mitzi on this new piece of bread, and he can bench right where he is. With no bread there at all, he must return to his first place. There's no way he could bench here. You can't just sit down and bench someplace and you don't eat bread. But if he's that far away that he cannot get to his first place, he figures he goes back there, he'll lose out on the 72 minutes time, and he can bench wherever he is. Above all, it's obvious that a person should be very careful not to walk away from the place where he is. Keep in mind the fact that just as well as benching is kedusha, so is eating also kedusha. Everything must be a means of avodas Hashem. On Shabbos we add the tefillah that say before the Yerushalmi. On the Chodesh Yontif we add Yalav Yolai. These two, if you have a combination of Shabbos and Shabbos and Yontif, then it say comes before Yalav Yolai because Shabbos comes more often than the Yerushalmi or the Chodesh. Todir, plus the fact, of course, that Shabbos is also holier. There is no Yom Tov that exists that can compare to Shabbos. Not even Yom Kippur can ever compare to the Kedusha of Shabbos Kodesh, which is Kaviyah Kaimah. Shabbos is Hashem himself, Yishav Hashem. Yom Tovim, Matem, we, the Chachamim, make these Yom Tovim, declare what it is. The day becomes Kodesh through the Chachamim. Shabbos is Kodesh of Hashem, it's made Misheshes Kedushes, and it has a high Kedusha, and it comes more often, therefore the Tzei comes first. Let's hope we're Zerchen before Shabbos to become the Shabbos properly with such Kedusha that this Shabbos should be the one that we mashpia for the Motzei Shabbos to have the Eskalus Kaviyah Navi, which is see with our eyes, see us, which is a kiruv, be a base of Mikdash, we continue the Shir in Bikas Halacha, Bikas Hamazon. Didn't of benching, Bikat Hamazon. After eating, Zakam Bidak Akil, but then Lazimnak Berek. Okay? Was what? Then is only brachot in the Torah that we have are B'Derabanan. It means that, in a sense, we can't use the word minor and major, but they are not the most important of the brachos. In case a person is in doubt about a bracha, always do not say it. Whenever in doubt, don't say it, because it's Rabban. There is only one or two brachos that are Minaita. Those are the first bracha we say on the Tzeidah, we have an Aliyah, and the Birkas HaNosson, the benching. That is Minaita. Therefore, if a person is in doubt, he forgot whether he benched or not, he does not recall if he benched after eating, then it depends. Birkas HaNosson is Minaita. If you recall the posek, Yachalta, V'Savota, or Ve'Lachta. If you eat, you're filled, satiated, then you must bench Minaita. The Chachamim say that even if you ate a kazayas, one little drop, half of an egg of bread, you also must say Birkas HaNosson. So Birkas HaNosson is Minaita for a full meal, and the Rabbanon for a small piece of bread. So therefore, when there is a suffix, a doubt, on a law which is Minaita, for instance, you ate a full meal, you don't know whether you benched or not, you must bench over again. You must bench, because maybe you didn't. Because out of doubt, you must still bench. The person ate only a little drop, which means he has a suffix with the Rabbanon, he does not have to bench over again. Now, as far as a woman, the question in the Gemara whether a woman is required to bench Minaita or not. This is a question brought in the Gemara, and therefore this applies to our point too. What if a woman benched, and as a woman ate a fill, which is usual the way women eat, and then she's in doubt whether she benched or not. Does she have to bench over like men, or is she different? Of course, they are different. They begin that way. We don't speak against women, of course. They're very nice when they're first born, small children. Little girls are very nice. When they grow up, it's another problem. But the halacha-wise, we have this question with women because they always present problems. In this case, too, we have a problem where it's very difficult to resolve this problem. Then the halacha is brought, the Shari Efraim says that in case of a suffix, that a woman should bench over. Because after all, there is such a thing as equal rights to a degree. We should give them equal rights in this case, that they are entitled to benching. Benching is a mitzvah, let them have it. The Mikra Yosef, who is the head of the Sfaradim, he is anti all the way. He says, women, he said, if we got the bench, forget about it. Out. Don't let them bench over again, because we got to keep them from saying brachas as much as possible. They're not. The only brachas we get from them is when they give a mishpeh to husband. A little bit later, something they bless them, but it's solid. But as far as this case, the big case says, as long as there's a suffix by us, if they're Midanaisa, they should not bench over. What to do in Halacha L'Maisa? Halacha L'Maisa, if they forget, let's say, never start up with them. Now, if a person forgets to say, let's say, on Shabbos, then we'll bench him. That's the paragraph say for Shabbos. Or if you have to say Yalav Yovay for Yontif, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. And he starts the next bracha. He finishes that bracha. He gets the word Amen. Onei Yerushalmi Amen, which he's supposed to say out loud, by the way. Correct custom, not the hala, this. The correct custom right is to say Amen loud. Some Sfaradim erroneously say it silently, that word Amen. It should be said out loud. Surely out loud, because if you say you say La'ad Amen, this surely should be said out loud, because this is Menachem. So there's some kind of mistake that got into the Halabim, or the Shemis, whoever got the mistake. It is definitely he did say it loud. Amen. Now, if a person gets to the word Amen, and he realizes that he forgot to say that Seirach Litzeinu or Yalaviyah, right? What does he do then? You have a special bracha put into the Shulchan Aruch. Some Siddur and have it printed in the Siddur itself, for the sake of those forgetful minds. And you say the short bracha for Shabbos of Rish Chodesh. But if you start the next bracha, that bracha you start, you cannot say anymore that the additional bracha that was misplaced. You must start from the beginning again. If you started the next bracha after the Menachem Mendel Schneerson, you must start over again from the beginning of Bekas HaMazon. So the question is now, what is meant by starting the next bracha? Does it mean you said Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam, Hakel, which is the next word after Melech Haolam, or does it mean that you started the word Baruch, just Baruch Haolam? Why? Haolam says that since the words Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam are the same words as the additional bracha you put in there, you lost nothing. Melech Haolam Nosson, Shabbosos Menucha, Yamei Yisrael. Short bracha they put inside. So you didn't lose it. So why not leave it that way? And why say over the whole Bekas HaMazon again? It fits in with the bracha you're supposed to put in there. This is the Chayyim says. And the Mishnah passes like the Chayyim there. The Mishnah says there's like you don't say over the Bekas HaMazon if you caught yourself in Melech Haolam. However, the majority of posek do not hold like the Chayyim. Majority, the vast majority, all of them don't hold like the Chayyim. The Mishnah passes like the Chayyim in the Mishnah. The Halacha, he says, he said, I doubt that the Halacha can be passing like this, because after all you have the whole line of all the person against it, he sort of retracts himself. And therefore, it would be, the Halacha L'Maisa, it would be very difficult to do that. If you start the next bracha, you simply go back to the beginning of Bekas HaMazon. The best thing, of course, is it should never happen. The person, when he benches, should keep his mind on what he's saying. He should know that it's Shabbos, he should know that it's Yontif, he should know it's Chodesh. He should say, Yalav Yavai, because one time a person should not fall asleep as a Bekas HaMazon. The Arizal Kodesh says that Bekas HaMazon being so important, the bracha, the Nesa, a person, a person can be zecher to the highest Odas HaRotzah. Rotzah means that he can find favor in the eyes of Hashem. At that time, the Hashem can suddenly bless him with a tremendous bracha. Whatever he needs parnasah, he needs health, he needs a cure, he needs shalom bayis with his family, with big, tremendous bracha he can get at the time Bekas HaMazon. So therefore, because of those, the person should be very careful to bench carefully with kavanah. Especially too, Arizal says that the biggest mitzvah Bekas HaMazon is to bench with simcha. To try to fill himself with the thought, the happy thought that how lucky, how fortunate we are that we are Jews, that we can bench to Hashem, to recognize Hashem. Hashem accepts our words. Hashem blessed us with food, with livelihood, and therefore we owe it to Hashem, and we look forward to being closer to Hashem. This saying the Bekas HaMazon with simcha is a basic point for Bekas HaMazon, the basic point of bringing a Jew close to Hashem. Mamish bringing a Jew closer and closer to Hashem, and that is the way of serving Hashem. You should be zecher to the emes, be emde Hashem, the emes, through Yishkavas to the tzadik emes, the Arizal. You should be zecher to see, to come to see, Yishtateach, all of us together, and then we should see the tzadik, the thing that makes the mikdash built by Hashem, the eternal one. Amen. Continue to share in Halacha. Hilchos Bikas Hamosek, din of benching. We come to one din, which is one that seems to be a very simple din, and yet it's so controversial. There are so many days, so many opinions about this. That I always took an interest in this halacha because it comes up so often. It's not exactly 4 weeks from tonight. Maybe 4 weeks from this Saturday. The shaila is the person eats on Shabbos, Shalashudas, that's the meal, and then it gets dark. They eat Shalashudas late. There are some people in Chassidut who sit at the Shalashudas table, they sing the Torah, they prolong all this midas, which is wonderful. There's some big tzadik who sat very late, till late at night. Let's say that it gets dark at 6 o'clock. It's fully dark, 72 minutes after the Shkia, 6 o'clock it's dark, and they continue the meal till 7. No question about that. It's Sunday now. So that is that because you started the meal on Shabbos, therefore you may still say that same achitzenu in Bikas Hamosek benching. Until we go according to the beginning of the meal. Now, our question is, what if the Tzorei Shabbos is a Shchedesh? Sunday is a Shchedesh. Now, therefore you have a problem. The Tzorei Shabbos, what do you bench? If you say that same achitzenu, you say it's still Shabbos. Shabbos is not Sunday. So how can you say Yom Yom? If you say Yom which is Sunday already, how can you say it's late? It's known as Tata Nesasi, two contradictory ends. So what do you say in Tzorei Shabbos? Here we have the following machlokes. The Bach says that we never say Yom Yom at night. In other words, when we started on Shabbos, Shabbos is Shabbos, even though Tzorei Shabbos is a Shchedesh, so we say only Tzei Alisam. The Taz says, Taz's point is it's not Tata Nesasi. And there are not too many who follow the Taz, but let's say we're proud to be one of those who do follow the Taz in this case. How many like the Taz? That when Tzorei Shabbos, if you end late, you still say both Tzei and Yom Yom, even though it's Tata Nesasi. It seems like it is. The Taz says it's not. Proof is that when you have, for example, Yontif comes out in Tzorei Shabbos. So in Tzorei Shabbos, you have Yontif, right? So what do you have then? You have Yak Nahaz. You have Kiddush, and you have Havdalah, both. And first you say Kiddush, then you say Havdalah. If you say Kiddush first, it means it's already Sunday. How do you go back to Havdalah in the Shabbos? Which is a strong proof that, generally, besides that proof, just bring an agav, but let's put it this way, the minhag I see by some of them is to say both. Rogan Avraham, on the other hand, says very simply, he makes a compromise. He says that, like the Taz, maybe Tata Nesasi, it seems like it, but we still say both, but with one stipulation, that after dark we should eat a piece of challah too. It means that you have eaten both on Shabbos and after Shabbos, so you're benching for both. Therefore you say that say and Yom Yom. This of course is the healthiest thing, let's face it, out of many machlokes. Over the Mishnah Berurah, the fourth day, it says that, very unusually, says that the din is that we disregard the beginning of the Sunnah, we count only the end of the Sunnah. The day is that you say only Yom Yom and not to say, which is very unusual, I've never seen it done. That's one day. Despite that, Mishnah Berurah himself finishes off like the Taz, which seems according to Vila Kutan, who says always that the Bayetiv's second day he brings is a Lachla Meiser. In this case, which may apply to the Mishnah Berurah too, but this is what the Mishnah Berurah passes himself a Meiser. Therefore, we would have enough days on our side to say that like the Taz, it's not that necessity. If you're allowed to, you should say both say and Yom Yom, right? Me on the safe side, I've seen people in Israel, but it's like others who each other should have been, they take a piece of challah at night, which is called benching, but then they can say, both of it say, and Yom Yom safely. Anyway, that's the halacha I said, that you have Tzorei Shabbos. This Shabbos, of course, is a Shchedesh. Tzorei Shabbos is no longer Shabbos or the Shchodesh, but we started in Suda on Shabbos, so we said it's saying all the other anyhow. But next to the Shchodesh, a month later, the Shchodesh Adar Aleph, which was on Sunday, we saw Shabbos, what the note then, we'll have this problem come up, and we say both then, but we should try to be a piece of Halacha, the Yitzhak, one of the Rom's Deya, which is one of the most followed days, which was zecher to fulfill the halachas, the only did Yos, through the halacha, which was zecher to alichas Elam Loi, which is the Shashua Elam Haba, as you can see, the Elam Haba B'chayenu, so we're coming in Mashiach, so we should head up there. Usually dinner of Bekas HaMazon, we come to Bekas HaZimun. Bekas HaMazon means that after eating, you must bench, if you ate the proper food, which is at least the kazayas of bread. Bekas HaZimun means that if you have 3, you bench together the zimun. Or if you have 10, then you add Hashem's name. If you have 3, or the Vorech Elekenu She'achalnu Mishalai. Now, remember you once mentioned the Zaydik Kodesh says, posek tzadik echel seven afshay. How can it be that the Chachamim wanted to enforce a din, always added a geder to a din, stated that if you eat a kazayas or kebeya of bread, you have to bench it, the entire Bekas HaMazon. Why should the Chachamim spoil a halacha? The din Torah is that the achalta v'savata. If you have your fill, if you ate your fill, a full meal, and you're satiated, then you have to bench with an isa. If not, you're potter from benching. Why should the Chachamim add brachas that are the kula? You're adding a bracha where where mid an isa there is a best suffix, or definitely a negative halacha. Chachamim add this. It's a Zaydik Kodesh kasha. The Zaydik Kodesh answers tzadik echel l'seiva nafshay. A good Jew, a tzadik, when he eats l'seiva nafshay. If he has only 1 kazayas, then he is so filled with thanks to Hashem, his nefesh, his shema is so filled with Todah Hashem, that he feels literally satiated. If his nefesh is satiated, his guf too follows. The guf is always an evid to the nishon. I heard a word that so this, the posek is tzadik echel l'seiva nafshay, bet the nishon techsar. Tzadik eats to the fill of his neshama, his nefesh, and the nishon, the neshon's stomach is always empty. What's this posek by Shlomo Melech? He said a person should see to it to seek out a mezuzah, not to eat alone, to try to have others with him. This means at the same time, besides having a mezuzah, you'll also have a mitzvah. You invite people to your house, 2 more to eat at your table, you go to the bench mezuzah. So the pshat of this pasuk is that you have a person, for example, a tzaddik who eats a meal. He completes his meal, he's about to bench, or he's close to benching, and he hears a knock on the door, and 2 guests, 2 visitors come and they say they want to eat. Tzaddik invites them in, and he says, partake of this meal. And of course, it's a fact that if you invite a person in and he sits down to eat alone, he's very embarrassed, he chokes on the food. So what does the tzaddik do? He sits down to eat together with them. Pretend that he's going to start, we're going to eat the whole meal together with them. He's already filled. Tzadik echel l'seiva nafshay. Seiva gufa is already there. He's filled his body, physically. Seiva nafshay, for the sake of the mitzvah, not embarrassing guests, eats a seiva nafshay alone. Better the Shem Techsa means that by Anasha, he sits down to eat, and he's about to start eating. Here's a knock on the door, people are coming in. So he quickly puts all the food aside, hides it. He invites the guests in. I'm sorry, no food, they just finished eating. They sit down, they spend time there, they stay there, they probably go to sleep there too. He sits there all the time with his stomach growling, hungry, but he said he already finished eating. So that in the Shem Techsa, because of the lack of Achnas Sechem, then he finds himself too suffering. The reference to Bekas HaMazon, R Nosson asked the kasha that's really powerful. Nosson asked that we find the Bekas HaMazon, we say with 3 people, and with 10 we say if you have 9 people eating, 9 tzadikim, biggest tzaddik in the world, and they bench mezuzah, they cannot say they cannot mention Hashem's name. 9 are the biggest tzaddikim. If you have 3 ordinary laymen, if you have 10 rather, 10 Anashim Pshutim, with 10 you can bench already mezuzah. With Hashem's name, First of all, asks, what is so special about saying Elokeinu? You can't say Hashem's name without a million. You have a person that eats a piece of fruit, or any other kind of food. He says, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu. Hashem is a higher than Elokeinu. He says both Hashem and Elokeinu, and he's all alone. He's a yochid, not even the Mezuzah. So how come here that by Mezuzah you have three people mentioned, you can't mention Hashem's name, Elokeinu, which is Gunos, when you have 9 people, 3 times 3? What is the reason that we must refrain, that we have permission to mention Hashem's name without the meaning? When we find that we say by davening, a person chas v'chalil davens b'yachidus, the whole Shemona Esrei alone, he's saying so many times, 18 brachas, he's saying with Hashem's name over and over again. Keo, Hashem, Keno, Akim. Arizal answers that a person, of course, a Jew, when he gives praise to Hashem, you can say to him all day, until you have a lot of times the name of Hashem. But that a person should rise up and command Jews, a community, a group, to say Bracha to Hashem, then you must have a minyan, you must have the Shekhinah present. The Kibitza Banas Kel, Hashem, the Shekhinah is with a minyan of 10 people. So he says, he commands, let us give bracha to Hashem, or for example, when he goes to the Sefer Torah, or for example, a shliach tzibur, a chazan, he says, Baruch hu es Hashem al-Melech. There must be a minyan there first, before he has the power to assemble them, commanded to give Torah to Hashem. That's why with 3, you can say only the Negas HaZibur, but not with the Hashem's name. And of course, this again teaches us that a person should seek out as much as possible to be able to say Hashem's name for benching. We mentioned once that Ruli Goyen says on this Gemara, the Gemara says that Hashem said, I give special favoritism to the Jews because they are so particular in mitzvahs, in the tactic of I said to the Jews, they should eat only when they are filled. They medactic themselves, even if a kazayas, which is a half of an egg, they eat only 1/2 the size of an egg that they bench. Not only that, even if they eat the size of a whole egg, they also bench. When we go to S, we said the other way around. Even if they eat a whole egg, or even if they eat less than a half egg, they still bench. And why does the Gemara say, why does Hashem say, medactic themselves so much, even to a half an egg, even to a whole egg? So we're going to answer that medactic means that medactic to not the food they eat, medactic on the benching, to give the right type of shevach praise to Hashem. So if a Jew has a meal, a small meal, enough to eat for himself, the size of a suga is 10 olives, half of an egg. A person has that size, just a meal for himself, he's chayav to bench. If he has less, not so. What does he do? He doesn't want to have this meal for himself. He always looks to divide this among others. He divides this thing among 10 people. If he could, to be able to 10 zaysim, be able to bench the zuman with a million. He tries to do it. If he can't find 10, at least he finds 3, who will then have the size of an egg. That's the thing. What he says that the medactic atzma at kazayis, the medactic themselves they're so particular. First, find at kazayis, to find 10 who can share in this bit of food. Each will get a kazayis. Then the at kazayis. If they can't find it, then at least they will settle for kebeya. For each one, they can at least have the zuman with 3, which means to be Ramali, to fulfill the mitzvahs of Hashem, to give true shevach Hashem, and the schus of hakora, giving this shevach and tzedel Hashem, which means to give shortly the ikar shevach for the coming of Mashiach, and this which will take up the later. Then I was mentioning with a mezuzah, which means at least 3. Then is, you know, it says that 3 people ate together at the same table, then they must bench the zuman. They have no right to bench separately. No, this is compulsory. You can't say if you want, you'll bench together, if not, you don't. This is compulsory. They are forced to bench together. 3 who ate shachot biyachad, like one. They ate like one person together, then they have to bench. And if one person eats like 3, little bit of Brazil there. This says that originally, this is a machlokes in Halacha, whether in benching the Zimun, you must have a kais. It's called a kais shel bracha. The person who's doing the benching must hold his kais shel bracha in his hand, and we'll see later how long he has to hold it. But whether there's a chiyuv to have this kais for 3, or especially with 10, if you have a million. Meanwhile, the Zimun with 3, it says that it's better if they have a kais, cup of wine. If they cannot get wine, they should use even beer, or even whiskey, if there's no wine available. And of course, after the benching is over, this case is called a case shel bracha, special bracha. Each one who drinks this wine is blessed, so people are very much mehadeh to drink from this case shel bracha. The voyach makes a bracha after the benching, and each one drinks a little of this cup. It's not just during Sheva brachas you have this done. It's 3 times you can bench with a million of Zimun, and the drink for this case shel bracha. Of course, note that when we bench shalashudis, we do not touch the wine after benching the case shel bracha, because then it's already before Havdalah. You're not supposed to pre-cave before Havdalah, so we're out. Unless you have Sheva brachas then it's a mitzvah for then we can mention that the one that benches alone can drink the wine. So the one that benches then is the chassid himself benching at the shalashudis table. The separate item that pertains to weddings. We're talking now about benching. And we said the din says that they should try their best to bench on a case. Now, this is there are some people whose custom it is to bench on a case even if they are alone. The Yochid, the bench is alone, also avoid it for him. Just that the Menachem, when they bench the Yochid, the difference is that a person benches the Zimun, or minion, and he holds the cup in his right hand. He holds it up, higher than a tefach on the table. The person benches alone, he benches the cup also, but he does not hold the cup. He has the cup standing in front of him on the table, he leaves it there and he benches. And this, of course, is the Maisa. There are many who do not do this. There are tatum for it. And, of course, what to do, actually, most probably is better if a person could have a kais shel bracha, a cup of wine. There are some who, for whatever reason, laziness, or the person is not home or elsewhere, they're eating together, it's very difficult to get a cup of wine. So because of that, it's become sort of lax. You don't find many people that used to do this. Right? For Yochid to bench the kais yayin, because I wasn't, you truly find very little. Thought that the Arizal was lying. Then, of course, there's a lot of sadness in this union of wine, where it says that when you bench, you're supposed to say, Einoi, the kais shel bracha. You should look at the wine. Look at the wine. Ayin. The ayin, you might be 70 ayins wine. But still the union of the Limta Shaktirta the Lesla Ayin in Sabbath Kadisha, where this also helps to improve, what's meant by improving the eyesight? The eyesight means that which you see. If you see, you believe. If you don't see, it's difficult to believe. But the Zaydik Kodesh says, Arizal, but it says in the phrase, that when a person has true emunah shleima, then his emunah is so strong that when he does not see, he sees better than somebody sees with his eyes. This means improving the eye of emunah. This is the mitzvah of looking into a case shel bracha. As he said, it's Halacha L'maaseh said that no one today is knowing Kemat. No one is Kemat. No, of course, there might be exceptions. No one's knowing today that seen to bench with a case if they are Yochid alone. The Zimun 3 or 10, of course, then it is better to be Mahadeh to get a case shel bracha. And then is that before benching, you have to wash Menachem. This we learned before. The details of washing Menachem, where it says that take it for the Tima Bracha. There should be no hefsek between washing Menachem and between benching. So since it's supposed to be as close as possible to the Bekas HaMazon, and even the act of pouring in this cup of wine, the kais shel bracha, must be done before you wash Menachem. So that the middle hefsek, even this act is already considered a hefsek. So the last thing you do before benching is to wash my machanim, and then to bench as immediately as possible. When there is, for example, a big table, 10 people or more, 20 people, when it comes to washing my machanim, it is best, really best, if people are not much mahadi on this mitzvah. There are some who are a little lax. This is a very important because when the Gemara stresses it, take it for the two of brachos. Be very careful, just take it. The Halacha drashes on the Gimel Tkifos. I'll take it a person's zechut to the Gula Shlema through this. So it's best that they have a number of cups of water that the whole table could wash practically simultaneously. Those that are washing should do so in zrizos. Real zrizos to get done so that there be no hefsek in time between the time you wash and the time that the water starts benching. That way a person's zechut to kais moli bracha, kais b'gatei akim, b'gatei akisei, akisei kabed. This goes way up to the highest brachas. We should be zechut to tabel these brachas, to receive them and to live with them, and Yedei Hashem Yemes, and to see Einu, Yeshua, Hashem Tziyah, the coming of Mashiach, and